In November 2010, Barack Obama made the longest foreign visit of his presidency to India, and there, in a rousing address to Parliament, Obama declared that India has emerged. By then, authors and analysts had already churned out a small rainforest worth of books and articles asserting that the 21st century belonged to Asia's two giants, China and India. 2 years later, however, India's rise does not look quite as certain. The IMF predicts that the Indian economy will grow this year at 4.9%. That's exactly half of the 9.8% it achieved in 2007 at its peak. For a country still at an early stage of development, in dollar terms, the average Indian earns about as much as the average Chinese did in 2004. This is worrying. Most economists believe that India needs to grow by at least 7% a year merely to keep pace with the 13 million new entrants into the job market each year. And flagging growth isn't the only cause for concern. Foreign direct investment has plummeted 67% in the first quarter of the current year to $4.4 billion. The rupee has spent much of 2012 touching historic new lows. By mid-September, it had lost 20% against the dollar over the previous year. And though arguably this was a one-off event, the massive power outage in July that left 600 million people without electricity dramatized to the world the parlous state of Indian infrastructure. In September, the government decided to embark, after a long hiatus, on a new burst of economic reforms. It raised the price of diesel fuel. It announced a rash of long-awaited reforms in retail, aviation, and power. And just yesterday, the ruling Congress party conducted a massive rally in Delhi, which was quite unusual for it, essentially extolling the benefits of foreign direct investment and reform. However, there has been tremendous backlash to these limited and belated reforms. Protesters have taken to the streets. A major coalition partner has left the government, so it's now technically in a minority. Parliament has been paralyzed by a series of high-profile corruption scandals going back even before the reforms. There's been violence between Muslims and indigenous people in the northeastern Indian state of Assam, and between Muslims and Hindus in the Hindi heartland state of Uttar Pradesh. In August, some 50,000 migrants from the northeast who had come to western and southern cities such as Pune, Hyderabad, Bangalore, and Chennai abruptly fled homeward, fearing retaliation for anti-Muslim violence that had broken out in the northeastern state of Assam. In a panic, India's government blocked more than 300 web pages, only a handful of which would have been considered inflammatory in most democracies. And this action, along with a ham-handed attempt to shackle social media such as Twitter and Facebook, raised questions in the international community about India's continued commitment to free speech. Now, this catalog of setbacks, I raise this catalog of setbacks because it highlights the unpredictability of Indian democracy and foreshadows a chaotic alternative to the smooth arc of progress assumed by many.